You see this, folks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, that's also the number of the amount of wins the New York Mets have series-wise to begin this year. And in case you guys aren't aware, the Mets have only played 5 series. Yes, the New York Mets have won their 5th and latest series here this season. They have yet to lose a series this year, which is always great to say after you're already a couple weeks into the year. But how's it going, everybody? Thank you all so much for chiming back in for the latest post-game show here on WardyNYM. This time breaking down a Mets victory, 6-2. It be that against the Arizona Diamondbacks in their series finale. I'm really excited. I'm very pumped up to get into this one. I hope you guys are too. I see plenty of my normal live viewers in here. Thank you guys all so much just chiming in. For people on replay, thank you all so much for being here as well. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. Help us get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal here on the channel, and also help us get a 15K subs for the next short-term goal here on WardyNYM. But this was a good win for the Mets. A little bit of a sloppy game still. The entire series felt sloppy for the most part in Arizona, and that always tends to be the case when the Mets are ever in AZ to face the D-backs. But no less, they get a series victory, and is led by some phenomenal pitching once again by, yes, Tylor Megill. So I'm very pumped up again. I want to know how everyone's feeling. So for everyone first chime in the live stream here, let me know in the chat, how do you feel about after this 6-2 victory for the New York Mets, their 5th straight series victory? Let me know all your thoughts. I'll be getting all your comments, questions, and concerns very soon. I'll be addressing everything that there is to know about this game first, because guys, what did the Mets do in this game? Well, you had the starting rotation for the Mets matched up with Tylor Megill getting his 4th start already this season after looking great thus far. Got worked around a little bit and beat around a little bit, I should say, in the San Francisco Giants start a couple of days ago in that doubleheader. But he really looked well in the final 3 innings of that one to kind of, weather the cold that he was facing and all the other adversities against a great Giants team. And the Mets still won that game. And tonight, what does Tylor Megill do against Madison Bumgarner of the Arizona Diamondbacks? He absolutely shoves, just as no one should be surprised by. We'll be breaking down his arsenal here shortly, but in a nutshell, what did Megill do? He pitched just around 7 innings, 6.2 to be exact. One more pitch and when Lugo came in relief for the final out. But I would like to give him 7, but it was technically 6.2. No less, Megill only gave up 5 hits, 2 earned runs. One of them was a home run, a solo shot by the D-backs by Christian Walker, which was the first run for them today. And then 7 strikeouts on 92 pitches. Tylor Megill was absolutely cruising the entirety of this game, which made it so appealing to watch. I mean, every single start, Megill has looked strong now, but we're talking about Tylor Megill, who had his stuff. You saw the changeup was working really well with the velo. Same thing with that slider, curveball, fastball. That 4-pitch arsenal worked beautifully. He was setting guys up, making them look stupid with the 7 strikeouts. Just a huge shout out to Tylor Megill once again. Shout out to Julie. His mom is a great member on the channel. We love her and the entire Megill family. He steps up once more. Color me surprised. We'll break down his arsenal here in a couple minutes, but Megill, my number 1 star today for that reason alone. Again, when you come out and you shove almost 7 beautiful innings for the most part for Megill that kept the Mets in this one, and thankfully the Mets got offense early for Megill thanks to Francisco Lindor that we guys saw in the first inning, as you see the highlights in the postgame show. But in order, Lindor saw Mark Canha was in scoring position. There was a hit and run play. Beautifully, he hits for an RBI and to bring in Canha in the first off of Madison Bumgarner. And why was that important? Well, one, early leads are always important for any team, especially the Mets, who have been giving up the early lead in previous games against both the D-backs and the Giants alike. But especially in this game against the Madison Bumgarner, who, don't get me wrong, he's had a good start to the year ERA-wise, control-wise. He's had his struggles, but him being a southpaw, you're always going to see the Mets struggle with them, at least early on this season, and that held true because Bumgarner only gave up that 1 run, 4 hits over 5 innings, and that wasn't even an earned run. So, again, I mean, when you look at what the Mets have been able to do against lefties, it hasn't been much. So, thankfully, they were able to get Canha to score from Lindor in that first, because if that didn't happen, who knows where the game would have ended. But no less, they jump on Bumgarner. We're not able to get more than a run out of him, though, a unearned run for Madison, so he wasn't charged with anything. But then they really started to beat on that bullpen that we saw, because the D-backs, of course, tied the game there in the 4th. Then we fast forward a little bit, and we get to the 6th inning, and the Mets are able to bring in one run to that inning to at least make it at that point a 1-run game. But then when we get into the 7th inning, the Mets tack on a couple more runs thanks to their pitchers simply being wild. The Mets got hit by pitches twice there in the 7th inning that led James McCann to get on base, and also led Travis Jankowski walked, which brought in a run. So he had his first RBI as a New York Met by actually walking in a run, which was funny. And then Starling Marte, with the bases juice, got hit by a pitch to bring in another run. So at that point for the Mets, they had a multi-run lead. They did surrender one run that they ended up giving up there in the bottom of the 7th, and that would be it for Tyler McGill and his day. But then you had Seth Lugo come in, and then Joely Rodriguez in there in both the, in the 8th and the 7th and the 8th and the 9th, and they got the job done. Seth Lugo looked great, 1.1 innings pitch, only gave up one hit. That's it. Joely Rodriguez got the save for the Mets, or even though it was a non-save situation, right, because they had a 4-run lead victory, but still 2 strikeouts, looked great there in the 9th. And then when we got into the 8th inning, though, offensively for the Mets, we saw more offense. J.D. Davis finally hit an opposite field home run. Love to see that. The Mets would tack on another run in there, too. So Mets added more insurance, had a 6-2 lead entering the bottom of the 8th, and they did not surrender it. They win this one in total 6-2 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Like I said, wasn't the prettiest series, wasn't the prettiest win, but they get the job done. This is now out of the Mets' first 17 games this season. They have scored 5+ runs in 10 of those 17. So they're scoring runs pretty often. It's great to see, even without everyone clicking on full cylinders. But as you see here through Wardy's top 5, before I break down the entire lineup and what the Mets did today offensively, along with breaking down Miguel's arsenal a little bit more than answering your questions, folks, we saw, I have number 1, it has to be Tyler McGill. He was just an absolute stud today. And then number 2, J.D. Davis got that opposite field home run. Shout out to J.D. He had a good day at the plate today, which has felt long overdue. But especially, again, started the game off against Madison Bumgarner, a lefty versus righty. Didn't get as much success as I would have liked to see early on, but still was able to tack on, take advantage of the bullpen for the D-backs. 2 for 3 with that home run, RBI, and 2 runs scored. Lindor, he's got to be in the top 3 because he got the offense going. If it wasn't for him, where does this game end up offensively? Scoring a run early in the game is definitely important, especially for Lindor and Canada there. So 2 for 5 with an RBI. Then my 4-star, I have Starling Marte, won 1 for 4 today. But Marte was the key X factor, and I'm glad that I'm talking about him now, because if we look at one of the funniest runs of the game today, that happened when Starling Marte tacked on that 1 run in the 6th inning. He went, stole a bag like he normally does, and overthrow, so he was able to steal all the way for a run scored to steal, go to third, and then go to home too. So shout out to Marte, using his speed to his advantage. This is multiple times already now in this series alone that we saw Starling Marte take advantage of course, what was given to him by the D-backs once he's on the base pass to score a run, or in this case, literally get his own RBI. It was absolutely absurd to see him do that. But I'm not all that surprised because Starling Marte, again, has those legs, known for that need for speed, right? 1 for 4 with that double, stolen base, an RBI, and a run scored. And Luis Guillorme is my number 5. Again, there are other guys you can make the argument for, but I have Guillorme here because he won 2 for 4, had himself a nice base hit later in the game too. That double, I believe that was in the 8th inning, and had himself 2 runs scored. So Guillorme, who was starting over Jeff McNeil today, not a problem. Hit for 500 and got those 2 runs scored. Shout out to him. And also shout out to Travis Jankowski too, because when we look at this entire Mets lineup for the Mets today, and that's what we'll be deep diving right now. And again, for everybody just chiming the live stream, I appreciate everyone being in here. Shout out to Richard, great supporter on the channel. Cylor, indeed, he looks like a beauty. Shout out to all my members. Appreciate you guys. Help us get to 100 likes. Like I said, we're trying to get to 200 to 300 by the end of the show. Thank you all so much in advance. But going through the Mets numbers as a whole today, Mark Canha, 1 for 5 with a run scored. That 1 run, that 1 hit, definitely paid off big time. If you're not going to hit more than once in the game, at least be a contributor to gain a run scored, and he did exactly that early on. Starling Marte, 1 for 4. We just talked about him. Lindor talked about him. Alonso, 1 for 5, got himself a base knock right there in the top of the 9th before the game ended, so that's always a positive. Eduardo Escobar went 0 for 5. So Escobar was I shouldn't say Escobar wasn't bad in this series, but he definitely wasn't as much of an offensive highlight as I initially expected him to be. So Escobar, we'll see how he does in the Cardinals series, because he definitely cooled off a little bit there here in this 3-game set against the D-backs. So for 5, like I said, no strikeouts though, just unlucky today with the bat. J.D. Davis, Guillorme talked about him. James McCann over 3. McCann isn't credited with an RBI, but he really deserves one because there was an error that we saw there in the 8th after the J.D. Davis home run that brought in another run, because McCann looked like it would be easy out there to third, hits off the third baseman's glove, Yorme rounds third, comes home, and the Mets tack on another run. So, in my opinion, McCann does have an RBI in this game, even though it's technically not going to him because of that error by the third baseman. And Travis Jankowski got himself a base knock right after that, as a matter of fact. They're in the top of the eighth, 1 for 3 with himself an RBI and a walk. So overall, Mets definitely, they got the offense done today. 10 hits total. They had a 348 expected batting average. So yeah, the Mets were barreling the ball really well tonight. And you could even make the argument should have had more runs than what they did. Of course, they had that bases loaded situation after scoring a couple runs after the likes of Jankowski getting walked to bring in a run and Marte getting a hit to bring in a run. Lindor struck out there, unfortunately, with the 2 outs. But Mets definitely have their opportunities, and it's good to see them secure a victory pretty much for the most part. Where there was never really a point in the game where I felt that, all right, this is something that I should be stressing out about. For the most part, the Mets played a pretty dominant game, even though that, again, this wasn't the prettiest one. Defense was definitely in favor of them, along with other factors. But no less, very, very important performance, a very strong win for the New York Mets. Once again, color me surprised, right? If we take a look, though, for a second, again, shout out all my viewers live or on replay. Love you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. I'll be getting all your comments, questions, and concerns very soon, along with some donations I saw earlier here in the chat. But before I do, I would like to break down Tyler McGill's arsenal tonight, because that stood out once again. Again, four-seam fastball, 61% of his arsenal night. So he did work that fastball quite a bit, and he had a lot of success. Topped out on 98, minimum 93, average 96. So right around his year average on the fastball. And again, he's still someone that is pushing. I feel he's going to hit 100 before you know it, because his velo has definitely been ticking up. Change up, 20% of his arsenal tonight. Topped out at 91, minimum 85, average 88. Slider, 13% of his arsenal for McGill. 88 is where he topped out. Minimum was 85, and the average was 86. And the curveball, which was only 7% of his arsenal, topped out at 82, minimum 77, and average 80. So again, another Siler McGill, as we love to call him, type performance. I'm not surprised. He's an absolute stud. He's doing a tremendous job for the Mets in their rotation. He's a lock in this rotation all year long until proven otherwise. And I'm damn excited to see him pitch again, which will be in the Philadelphia Phillies series after the Cardinals series later in the week, this upcoming week. Even though, yeah, the week technically started today. Right now, that's a Sunday. Either way, love what I saw. Lugo looked great. Joely Rodriguez looked great. The Mets bullpen got it done. The Mets hitters got the timely hitting. They hit for opposite field. They're continuing to hit with two outs, runners in scoring position as well. And they could have tacked on plenty more in this one too. So hopefully the offense continues to transition after a slow start into something promising. Hopefully we see them jump on the Cardinals early. And I'm looking forward to breaking down that Cardinals series preview earlier in the day tomorrow before we go over the first post game later tomorrow night after that first game. But now it's time, folks, for me to start answering all your questions, comments, and concerns. So for viewers in the live stream, make sure to stay here. But for viewers on replay, this is where I'll be cutting things off. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you feel. What's your biggest takeaway out of this Mets 6-2 victory? Another series victory. They're now 12 and what? They're 12-4, 12-5 on the season. They're doing a tremendous job, the New York Mets, and it doesn't look like that they're stopping anytime soon. So let me know what your thoughts are. And of course, let's go Mets, baby.